All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to tackle a feature that is absolutely critical for pretty much any modern web app: search and pagination in Next.js. And look, this isn't just about writing some code, it's about making a smart choice. It's about strategy. So let's dive in.
So, picture this. Your app has thousands, maybe even millions of records. How in the world do you show all that data without making your users want to throw their computers out the window? This is the fundamental challenge, right? How you display that information isn't just a small feature. No, this is a core architectural decision. It impacts performance, user experience, and, even your SEO.
Okay, so where do we even begin? Let's start at the foundation, with the pattern recommended by the Next.js team themselves. You can think of this as the official blueprint for making client-side interactions and server-side data fetching work together in perfect harmony.
The big idea here is it's actually brilliantly simple but super powerful. The URL, specifically its query parameters, the stuff after the question mark, that becomes your single source of truth for the application state. What that means is the view a user sees is directly tied to the URL, so you can share it, you can bookmark it, and it just works.
The data flow is really the key to understanding this. It all kicks off on the client side, when a user starts typing into a search box. That simple action updates the URL, which then, and this is the cool part, triggers a re-render on the server. Yeah, you heard that right, the server. The table component then fetches the fresh data based on that new URL, creating this beautiful, seamless loop.
So what are the magic ingredients that make all this happen? Well, on the client, you're going to be using hooks like use search params to read the URL and use router to change it. And on the server, the component just gets the search params as a prop. It's this really clean separation of concerns that makes the whole pattern so elegant and easy to work with.
Okay, but wait a minute. What if someone types like a maniac? Firing a database query for every single letter would be, a total disaster for your backend. That's where this neat little trick called debouncing comes in. It's a simple but crucial idea. We just wait for the user to pause their typing for a brief moment before we actually send the request. This saves your server from getting hammered and keeps the UI feeling super snappy.
All right, so we've got the basic pattern down. Now let's zoom out a bit. We're moving from the code to the high-level strategy. The choices you're about to make here are the ones that will really define your application's performance and usability when it starts to scale.
This is really the first major fork in the road you'll hit. Are you going to fetch data in small, bite-sized chunks from the server every time a user clicks Next? That's server side. Or are you going to just dump the entire dataset on the client's browser all at once and let it handle flipping through the pages? That's client side.
The trade-offs here are pretty stark. Server-side, without a doubt, is the champion for large datasets. It gives you a much faster initial load, and it's way better for SEO, since every page has its own unique indexable URL. Client-side? It really only makes sense for smaller datasets, where you can get away with a slower initial load time.
Now for the next big decision, and this one is all about the user experience. You have to think about why your user is there. Are they on a mission with a specific goal, like trying to find a specific product on page 3 of your catalog? If so, pagination is your best friend. But if they're just casually browsing, discovering content, like on a social media feed, that's the sweet spot for infinite scroll. Now, infinite scroll feels amazing, I get it. It keeps users engaged, but it comes with some pretty serious warnings, especially for SEO. Because search engine bots might have to crawl a literally endless page, it can absolutely demolish your crawl budget. Pagination, with its clear, distinct pages, is just a much safer bet for making sure your content gets discovered.
Okay, let's level up. Sometimes the standard pattern just won't cut it. When you need more firepower, a more responsive UI, it's time to bring in the big guns. Think of these external tools as power-ups for your app.
First up, we've got SWR. This is a data fetching library from the very same people who make Next.js, Vercel. So you know it's good. It's designed to completely supercharge your client components and gives you these incredibly powerful tools for managing data without having to write a ton of boilerplate code.
And SWR comes with some serious superpowers. We're talking automatic hashing and revalidating data in the background, preloading the content for the next page so it feels instantaneous. And it even has a dedicated hook, use SWR Infinite, that makes building a really solid infinite scroll surprisingly easy. It's all about making that user experience feel incredibly fast and fluid. All right, now for the heavy hitters. When search isn't just a feature, but it's the absolute core of your application, you need an enterprise-grade solution. And your choice here really boils down to this: a managed service like Algolia, where they handle all the tricky infrastructure for you, or a self-hosted beast like Elasticsearch, where you have total granular control.
So why would you go through all that trouble? Because they give you features that a simple database query just can't dream of. Things like typo tolerance, so users find what they're looking for even if they misspell it. Faceted search, which is that filtering by category you see on e-commerce sites. And smart relevance ranking, to always bubble the best results to the top.
Phew, okay. We have covered a lot of ground. We've looked at the foundational pattern, the key architectural choices, and the advanced tools. So now, let's put it all together. Let's create a clear decision-making framework to help you pick the right solution for your project.
Let's map each one of these solutions to its ideal use case so you can see exactly where it fits.
See, it all comes down to matching the right tool to the right job. It's that simple. The official Next.js pattern, it's perfect for blogs, documentation, simpler sites. For a really dynamic dashboard with real-time data, SWR is a fantastic upgrade. But for a huge e-commerce platform where search drives sales, you've got to invest in a dedicated solution like Algolia or Elasticsearch. And this chart right here, it visualizes the core trade-off perfectly. As you climb the ladder to these more powerful solutions, the development complexity, well, it shoots way up. The official pattern is simple, but it has its limits. Your job as a developer is to find that sweet spot, the right balance for your project.
So what's the final game plan? Here are the key takeaways. For most projects, just start simple with the official Next.js pattern. It's solid. If your UI gets really data-heavy and dynamic, enhance it with SWR to give it a boost. And only, I mean only, when search becomes a core, business-critical, money-making feature, should you dive into the deep end with the complexity of a dedicated search service.
And that leaves us with one last question to think about. It's not just about solving the problem you have right now, it's about thinking ahead. Are you building a system that just works for the data you have today? Or are you building something that will continue to perform as your data and your user base grows into the future?